Well, hey there, physical science students. This is Mr. Dark, and now we're going to learn how to balance equations. All right, so make sure that you pay special attention to this, watch it time and time again, and the only way you're going to get better at it is to practice. Okay, so starting out, how are molecules symbolized? Well, we look here and we see that we have Cl2. What does that mean? That means that we have two atoms of chlorine that are bonded together. Okay, two atoms of chlorine bonded together, which gives us one molecule of chlorine. Okay, what if I had 2 in front of Cl? Well, that would mean that I would have 2 free-floating chlorine atoms. Okay, so 2 atoms of chlorine. All right, well, what if I had 2 Cl2? That means that I have 2 molecules of chlorine atoms, right? Molecule would be the 2 chlorines combined together, right? So I would have 2 molecules of chlorine. Okay? But I have how many atoms? 4 atoms. How did I do that? Because I multiplied the 2 here by the 2 for the subscript. All right, so that needs to be, you need to know how to do that because when we balance equations, you have to do that. All right, so how many of each atom are in the following? Okay, remember when we did formula mass, we took it and broke it down into the elements. Well, let's do that now. How many NAs do I have? Well, I have 1, right? How many O's do I have? 1. How many H's do I have? 1. All right. So what I want you to do is go ahead and pause it and try 2 and 3 the best that you can. Unpause it, come back and check your work. All right, for number 2, how many CAs do I have? I should have just 1. Okay, how many O's? Well, remember we distribute to whatever's inside the parentheses. So I should have 2 O's and 2 H's. Okay, well, what happens here if there's a 3 in front of that? Well, that means I have 3 of whatever's behind it. Okay, so how many CAs do I have? Well, if here I only have 1, I must have 3 because we multiply or distribute this through as well. All right, what about O's? Well, I have 2 of them, but I have 3 of that, so I have a total of 6. And what about my H's? Well, here I have 2, but I have a 3 of whatever I have there, so I have 6. Okay, it's just like in math class, if you were to get 2a plus b, right? How many A's do I have? 2. I have 1 B. All right, what if I had 2A times 3x plus b? All right, you would multiply this through this way as well. All right, same thing as distribution. Okay, so balancing equations. This is where the law of conservation of mass comes into play. It states that matter cannot be created or destroyed. The atoms are only going to be rearranged in a chemical reaction. Okay, so the number of particular atoms is the same on both sides of a chemical equation. Okay, so for here we have magnesium that burns with oxygen to produce magnesium oxide. Well, if we were to look at this, how many magnesiums do I have? Well, let me not write it right there. It's easier if I write it underneath the arrow sign. All right, so how many magnesiums do I have on my left side? I have 1, right? How many do I have on the right side? I have 1. So we're good so far. How many oxygens do I have on the left side? I have 2. How many do I have here? I only have 1. So is this balanced? No, it's not because my oxygens don't match up. All right, so we're going to balance by atom inventory, which is probably the best way to do it. Once you get familiar with this, then you can do it by inspection. So you want to set up, you want to set up a table to keep track of the number of atoms of elements on both sides. Now, I typically do mine underneath the arrow, but on yours you have it written out MgHCl, MgHCl. Whichever way you want to do it is fine. Okay, so the question is, how many magnesiums do I have on the left side of my arrow? I have 1. How many here? 1. Magnesiums are good. All right, how many H's? 1. How many H's? 2. How many Cl's? 1. How many Cl's? 2. So am I balanced? No. All right, now when you're balancing equations, the only thing you can change is the coefficient. Okay, I'm actually going to have you do an exercise in class or a worksheet in class where you will have to put a box or an arrow where your coefficient would go so that you know that that's the only thing that you have the power to change. You don't have the power to change anything else. So for right now, just get used to drawing that box in the front, which means that's the only thing you can change. I cannot come in and put a 2 here or a 2 here. I can't change my subscripts. I can't add more. I can't say, oh, well, let's just add another h here. We can't do that. Okay, so we can change our coefficients to make these numbers match up. So what number must I put? If I have a 2 on this side and a 1 here, what can I put here in front that would give me 2 h's? I can put a 2 there, right? That now gives me 2 h's, so we change this number to a 2. It also gives me 2 CL's, so that changes that to a 2. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, and we're balanced. Okay, so this is going to take time. Don't expect to be an expert at it immediately. All right, some more practice for us, and then we'll practice lots in class. So break down into the elements. I have CA and N. I have 1 CA on the left, and I have 3 on the right. I have 2 N's on the left and 2 on the right. Okay, so what do I need to balance? Well, I need to fix my CA's first. So let's go to the left side. What can I put here that gives me 3 CA's? Well, if you said a 3, you're correct. Look how easy that was. Are they all going to be that easy? No. No, they're not. Okay, let's go to the BICL H2S one next. So if you want to pause it and try it, go on ahead and then come back and check your answer. All right, we have BIs, we have CLs, we have H's, and we have S's. So on this side, we have 1 BI, and we have 2 on this side. We have 3 CLs and 1 on this side. 2 H's and 1 on this side, and then 1 S and 3 S's. All right, so on this one, because you have a lot of them that don't match up, it really doesn't matter which one you start with. But if ever you have an element by itself, so like say like this, if it's by itself, if the H was by itself, you would do that last. Okay, so let's just start. We need 2 BIs, so let's put a 2 here. That's going to change my BIs, but guess what? It not only changes my BIs, it also changes my CLs. How many CLs does that give me? 6. Okay, so now to balance that out, my CLs on this side, I need to put a 6 here. That's going to change not only my CLs, but also my H's. So it gives me 6 CLs and 6 H's. Okay, now my hydrogens are not right. So what can I put here? Well, I can put a 3 there. That gives me 6 hydrogens. It also gives me 3 sulfurs. And now I'm balanced. Okay, and notice how I'm going. I'm always writing my coefficients in up here. Okay, if you change the numbers here to match, that's great. But if you don't put your coefficients in up at the top, it doesn't matter. It's wrong. You have to add your coefficients in. And also notice if I add my coefficient to the left side, I change my numbers on the left side. If I add my coefficient to the right side, I change my numbers on the right side. Okay, let's try the next one. If you want to pause it and try it and then come back and check your work, you can. Otherwise, we're working together. All right, N, H. Look, I have another N, but I already wrote N, so I'm going to just leave 1 written there. I'm not going to write it again. Okay, so I can change my coefficients, which are the little spaces in the front. So how many total N's on the left side? I have 1 here and 1 here, which gives me 2. How many N's on the right side? 2. How many H's on the left side? I have 4. How many H's on the right side? I have 2. How many O's on the left side? I have 3. How many O's on the right side? 1 here plus 1 here gives me 2. Okay, so I need to fix my H's and I need to fix my O's. All right, so if I have 4 H's on this side and I only have 2 H's on this side, what do I need to put here? I need to put a 2, don't I? That's going to give me 4 H's. And it's also going to change my oxygens. It gives me 2 oxygens here, but I still had 1 oxygen here. So that gives me a total of 3. Oh, and look at that. It's all fixed. Okay, so if you see an element that's got 1 in one compound on this side, and then there's 2 and it's split up into 2 compounds on the other side, make sure that you do a different element first. All right, this last one right here, I tell you what, we're going to save this one for class. So when you come to class, we'll do this when we get there, okay? And that's it. So I'll see you in class.